Hello, doers. My name is Jose Ignacio, and it's good to see you again. Now, today we're jumping into manufacturing reporting, specifically the production analysis report. You see, there are a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself when running a manufacturing operation. How long does it take to manufacture each product? How much does it cost? How much do I need to pay my workers for each product they manufacture? And the list goes on. If you want your operation to be profitable, these are all important factors to consider. And luckily, the production analysis report in Odoo's manufacturing app can tell you all of that and so much more. So, enough chit chat. Let's hop into our database now to see how it all works. So, to open up the production analysis report, I'm actually going to navigate over to our manufacturing application, select reporting up at the top, production analysis, and there we are. So, by default, the report is displayed as a line chart, but I could also view it if I wanted to as something such as a bar chart or a pie chart, which is always my favorite one. Each graph type shows the data broken down by weeks. You can also view the data inside of a pivot table format by selecting it up here in the top right corner, and there you have it. So each row that we have over here on the pivot table shows the data for one specific product. But let's jump back into our line chart because that was a little bit intense. Okay, so the data presented and the way it's displayed are affected by two factors. We have the measures drop-down menu that we have over here and the search bar that we have up at the top center. If I click into this measures menu once again, I can actually select from a variety of different data sets. By default, average total cost / unit is being used, but I can also choose a different metric like, let's assume, average operation cost. As you can see, only one measure option can be selected at a time. With a data set selected, we can use the search bar over here to show how it's displayed on the report. By default, a filter is enabled so only data for MOs completed during the current year are the ones that are shown. I can also add a custom filter by entering a product's name into the search bar. For instance, I could type in the word, let's assume it's coat rack. And look at that, only the data for that specific product is shown. Speaking of the search bar, if we click on this little down arrow that we have over here, we have our mega menu filter and grouping options. So let's talk about one area, and it is actually the end date section that we have. And this allows me right here that I used and the comparison to be able to see a desired time period for the data. The group by section that we have over here in the center allows me to group data by products or end date. And finally, the one that I glanced over earlier is our comparison area, which is our end date previous period, end date previous year as well. So both of these options allow us to compare data from two different time periods. We're going to use this section in a use case later in the video, so I won't go into too much detail about it right this instant. The main thing that you should know is that the comparison feature should only be used with the pie chart graph type or the pivot table. Using a comparison on a different view won't have any effect. All right, with all of those nitty-gritty details out of the way, I want to close this video by showing you a few use cases for the production analysis report. So first, we're actually going to want to reset this report to its default state by clicking on the refresh button inside of our browser. Once that refreshes, we'll continue. So for our first use case, we're going to compare two different products, our oak chair and our cane chair, just to see which takes longer to produce. This can be useful when deciding how much of your manufacturing resources should be dedicated to one product or another. So I'm going to keep the default end date filter in place, and I'm going to start by entering the names of the products that we want to compare inside of the search bar. So the very first one that I'm going to type in is that oak chair, select it. And then the next one that I said, cane chair, select it. Okay, now we have both of them right there. So I'm going to open up the search bar drop-down menu now this time around, and this time I'm going to select the product option underneath the group by. And we're already getting somewhere. So now I'm also going to open up the measures drop-down, small o doopsie over here, and we're going to select duration of operations, because remember I said which one takes longer. And finally, all I need to do is select the bar type of graph right there, and now we have it. And wow, as you can see, we now see the average time it takes to produce 1 unit of each of these products. And well, it looks like it takes us twice as long to make one cane chair. Based on this, we can make an informed decision about whether we want to keep producing the same number of cane chairs or maybe dedicate more resources over here to producing our oak chairs. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's refresh the page once again to reset it, and this time it's going to be faster. Okay, so for this next example, we're going to take a look at how to use the reports comparison feature. Let's say that we want to compare quarters 1 and 2 of this fiscal year to see which items we spent the most money producing inside of each quarter. So I'm going to start by selecting the pie chart, because remember, I mentioned that it only works in those ones. So I'm going to click on measures drop down over here once again. And this time I want to see total cost. Great. Now I'm going to open up the drop down menu of the search bar once again. And this time what I want to click on is the end date section that we had over here. And you'll notice it lets us select some other stuff. I want to add the Q2 filter over there as well. And finally, the other one that I want to see is the comparison section. I'm going to select the end date previous period over here, just so that I could see that. And as you can see, selecting this option divides the pie chart into two sections. The outer section that we have over here is Q2 of 2024. And the inner section that we have inside of here shows us our Q1. Based on this, we can see that the products that we spent the most money producing in the second quarter were it looks like a bike and a cabinet. Wonderful. So during the first quarter, the product that we spent the most money producing was, once again, the cane chair. Keeps coming back. So if I had selected the end date previous year filter instead, let's go see that, actually. Going up here to the top. The inner circle would show the same time period as the outer circle, quarter two, but for the previous year. In this case, that would actually be 2023. And that brings us to the end of this tutorial video. If you've been paying attention, you'll know that there's quite a lot that you can do with the production analysis report. Now, this video provided a few examples, but it would be impossible to cover every single way the report can be used. There are simply far too many options, which is exactly what makes it so powerful. So with that, Odooers, the best thing that you can do is jump into your database and play around with all the different options to see how they interact and whether or not you break stuff. That's all for today, folks. I'll see you next time.